Since the 1840s, there have been many vessels that have come and gone throughout the fairly lengthy passenger ship timeline. Most of them were put into service simply to fill in the gap, but others, especially those who were to be the face of their respective companies on various routes, had to stand out in different ways. In the modern cruise industry, the need to stand out is more important than ever. With so many choices available, the idea of needing to provide both something fresh and wanted is ever present in the design offices of these companies. Sometimes, when something truly revolutionary comes out, much of what they pioneer can be seen in various forms on other ships later on. These ships have influence, and it is something that is a positive in this industry. It is pretty rare, however, that a new and relatively small company causes ripple effects to be felt throughout the industry at large, but that is exactly what happened in the mid-1990s with Celebrity Cruises. The main reason for this was their sudden appearance, the design of their ships, and the type of service they provided. As a result, they caught the eyes of two of the biggest names in the industry rather quickly. The last of their ships became the culmination of what they were able to achieve within a fairly short time frame. Today we will look into this build-up and focus on the final members of their last independently built class to get a sense of what they brought to the table at that time. This is the story of the early Celebrity Cruises brand, as well as one of their final independent new builds, Celebrity Galaxy. Celebrity Cruises is known today as a uniquely premier and upscale mainstream cruise line that operates 13 ships across 3 classes. Among these are the 4, but soon to be 5, revolutionary Edge-class vessels. Combined with their partnership with Royal Caribbean Group and their overall positive following, they are a surprisingly influential brand, especially when considering their smaller footprint in the overall market. Even from their initial founding several decades ago, they have, at some level, always had some level of influence, and that is because of how well designed their earliest ships were, as well as what they offered. Some may be surprised to learn that Celebrity actually started as a small division of a company that primarily focused on transporting immigrants in second-hand, out-of-date, but comfortable ocean liners. They were known as the Chandris Group. Some ocean liner enthusiasts will recognize this as being the owners of ships such as the former SS America on 2 different occasions in her career. As stated prior, they had primarily focused on the immigrant trade from Europe to Australia following the conclusion of the Second World War. But with the emergence of the new mainstream cruise industry in the 1960s and 70s, especially around the United States, they looked to capture a piece of the action. They had already done occasional cruises at different points prior to this, but now was the time to make it official. They formed a new division in partnership with several American travel companies called Chandris Fantasy Cruises in the early 1970s and started their operations with Britannis, offering full-time cruises from Southampton to Sydney in the summer and around the Caribbean in the winter. By the mid-80s, the Fantasy division had grown steadily. In 1984, Chandris officially acquired a top-of-the-line but nearly 20-year-old ocean liner named SS Galileo Galilei and installed her as the lead ship in the division. Following a modest refit, she was renamed Galileo. By the late 80s, the division was gaining in numbers, but it was seen as a more low-scale, budget-friendly cruise line. This public image did not sit well with the owners, so as early as the mid-1980s, they were looking at going in a different direction. They had toyed with the idea of buying off Holmline's very popular Oceanic, as well as a ferry cruise ship hybrid, but the executives found that this was not going to put them on the long-term track they wanted to go on. Instead, they decided to pursue something that the company had never done in their nearly 3-decade-long history: build their own passenger ship. While they collaborated with a shipyard in Germany regarding possible designs in 1987, another star aligned in the sky. In mid-1988, Holmlines was bought by America Line, and they decided not to send their ships to Bermuda. At the time, Bermuda was a highly popular destination for cruise ships, especially those coming from New York. The local government gave out 5 contracts that allowed for priority berthing at their ports. Holmlines held 2 of the 5. With them now out of the picture, Chandris quickly pursued the vacancy. Although there was a problem. Like the public at large, the government saw their fantasy division as low budget and not premium. They stated that they only gave contracts out to more upscale companies and ships, and that was something Chandris could not offer at the present time. Between the desire of having these contracts and the eventual new build they were pursuing, they decided to form yet another branch of their company that would offer upscale ships, but at more affordable prices. This new division would be known as Celebrity Cruises. 2 actions were then implemented over the coming months. First, Galileo was heavily refitted with new public rooms, updated cabins, and expanded open-air decks. On her funnel was the new logo for Celebrity, sporting a new stylized X that had been seen on all previous Chandris ships. So extensive was her refit that she was renamed Meridian. The second thing done was the official ordering of the first new build in April 1988, and this ship would be transferred from the main Chandris Line to the new Celebrity division. She was eventually completed, and in May 1990, the newly named Horizon sailed out of New York on her maiden voyage to Bermuda. Eventually, a near-identical sister ship followed in 1992, Zenith. Both were designed to invoke a luxurious but contemporary interior style, as well as a yacht-like appearance on the outside. Right from the start, they saw that they were filling a hole that had not really been previously filled. There had not been a cruise line at the time that focused on providing a luxurious, quiet atmosphere at a price that many could actually afford. Regarding their interiors, it was either all-in luxury or all-in contemporary. Horizon and Zenith were among the first to have been designed with elements of both, and their interior design of comfort and quality over glitz and glamour proved to be very attractive. This, combined with their above-standard premium service, proved that this model was something a large number of people wanted. A year following Horizon's launch, the senior VP of Chandris New York stated, "The Horizon has been appraised as a very successful, well-designed ship. Her best ingredients include a good general flow for passengers, a very high ratio of passenger spaces, well-designed and well-decorated public rooms, one large dining room with great atmosphere, one of the very best show lounges afloat, excellent travel value, a high standard of food and service, and, from an operational standpoint, a very economical ship." George Duvall, a Connecticut-based editor of Ocean and Cruise News and veteran of over 100 cruises himself, said this following the completion of Zenith's maiden voyage. In a very short period of time, and in a very competitive climate for the cruise lines, Chandris has been able to position Celebrity Cruises as one of the premier cruise companies in its price range. The opinion seems unanimous, as many others that we talked with, both passengers and travel agents, all give high praise to the Celebrity Cruises product. Beyond doubt, one of the primary reasons for this is the extra effort that has been put forth to back up the verbal and written claims that have been made in promoting the cruises. In the case of Celebrity Cruises, there is high focus and understanding of the true meaning of quality. While there seemingly is an endless choice of cruise lines and ships to sail on a Caribbean cruise, to a large extent there is little difference in the price you have to pay. There is some difference, but generally too little to sacrifice what is known as an excellent ship for one that is unknown to you. This extra effort that is put forth by Celebrity and the Zenith easily places it in the category of excellent. Celebrity was only a few years old by this point, and they were already dominating in their corner of the market, even with just 3 ships. Large amounts of growth were clearly around the corner, and the need to build something bigger and better became more apparent within a short amount of time. In July 1992, Britannicus departed Miami on a 5-day cruise to Mexico. On board were over 100 members of the Steamship Historical Society of America's Long Island branch. Also on board was one of Horizon's and Zenith's chief designers, Dimitri Kaparis. His main reason for being on the voyage was that he was to be a key speaker of a presentation on board. Being only several months after Zenith's maiden voyage, he remarked extensively at the early success of the new duo. At the end of the lecture, he gave a small tease regarding the possibility of even more ships to come. The hint gained more traction within the next few months, as $200 million were invested into the Chandris Cruise division by the New York-based Overseas Shipholding Group. About 8 months after the first hint drop, the chairman of Chandris formally announced the intention of building new ships on the 30th of March 1993 at a press conference at the New York City office. Forecasts showed that 1 or even 2 ships would not be enough. There would need to be at least 3. The resulting contract, worth nearly $1 billion, was awarded to the Meyer Werft shipyard located in Papenburg, Germany, to build 1 ship to be delivered in late 1995, with the option to build 2 more identical sister ships under the name Century class. It seemed a foregone conclusion that the first member would be named Century, but no names were announced at the time. During the press conference, the chairman noted that good is not good when better is expected. These ships are for the lifestyle of the 21st century. Rather than being designed by just one individual or architectural firm, as was traditional in the industry at the time, the owners decided it would actually be better to include multiple different firms in designing and creating the interiors for each ship. Early plans called for the 3 ships to follow an overall similar exterior design to the Horizon class, with the sleek and angular yacht-like design. On the interior, things would be massively expanded. For starters, they would offer 48% more public room space than the previous duo, but only increase the passenger capacity by 26%, taking the already generous passenger-public space ratio to a whole new level. For cabins, there would be 870 total, 561 of which would be outside cabins. 54 of those would have private verandas, making these ships one of the first to feature a large number of these new room types. Overall, each cabin would be 172 square feet in floor space, another generous number for the time. Among the planned 43 suites would be 2 of the largest to go to sea, each being 1,076 square feet in size, would have their own living room, dining area, veranda, dressing room, and bathroom, featuring a marble bath and whirlpool. Expected public rooms included a roughly 1,100-seat, 20,000 square foot dining room overlooking the aft, a 1,000-seat theater, a 10,000 square foot health center, 62,000 square feet of outdoor deck space, which would have a very large center pool deck for a ship of this size, and it would be 2 pools, whirlpools, a jogging track, and a sports arena. Also planned was a casino, disco, and nightclub to help attract more younger passengers. To connect it all would be a 3-story-high atrium featuring a grand staircase. With all these expected features to be on board, the size of the ships was calculated to be around 70,000 tons. While definitely not the biggest, they would be among the largest, especially for their expected type of clientele. These ships would surely usher in a new and exciting age for both Celebrity and Chandris. By January 1994, assembly of the first ship was underway, known then as Yard Number 637. As construction progressed, a number of minor changes were made to the interior design, which is common in cruise ship construction, but there were also some major changes that needed to be implemented on the next ships, since it was already too late to implement them on the first. These were mostly due to rising demand. Launched in May 1995 and completed just half a year later, Century departed Port Everglades in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, as the new flagship of the fleet on her inaugural voyage on the 20th of December 1995. At roughly the same time Century was launched, Celebrity officially exercised the two-vessel option of the contract, and the keel was laid for the next sister, known as number 638, on the 25th of May 1995. She would not be a pure copycat of Century, however. Among the new changes, which included a custom interior finish that could be described as cyber-themed, would be a nearly 51-foot-long expansion over Century, which would allow for additional cabins and public spaces. As Century continued cruising through her early inaugural season, construction on 638 progressed enough for her to be launched from under the covered dry dock at Papenburg. This occurred in May 1996, and she was subsequently moved to the fitting out pier nearby to be transformed into a true passenger ship. By October of that year, she was virtually completed. On the 10th, she was officially acquired by Celebrity. It was speculated before her construction that she would be named Constellation, but she ended up receiving the name Galaxy. Rather than going straight to Port Everglades to start her inaugural season, her owners decided to show her off in a series of promotional visits in Southampton, Boston, Philadelphia, and Port Canaveral. They were indeed very proud of this new $320 million ship. Galaxy was now the largest member yet for the Celebrity fleet. She was 852 feet long, nearly 106 feet wide, and had a displacement of 76,998 gross tons, over 5,000 more than Century. There were 10 accessible passenger decks, each having their own name. Starting with the lowest, which is the Continental deck, one could find ocean view and interior cabins as well as the medical center. One deck above was the Plaza deck, which, among some additional cabins, housed the lowest level of the Grand Foyer, a 4-level high atrium. After that was another, more enclosed atrium with a champagne bar. At the very end, being surrounded with near floor-to-ceiling windows and overlooking the aft wake, was the lowest level of the Orion main dining room. Just above, on the promenade deck, was the upper level of this room. Forward of that was the rendezvous room, which was a lounge finished off with a traditional luxury touch, featuring elegant woods and rich upholstery. As the name suggests, amidships of this deck, on either side, is the exterior promenade, located just under the lifeboats. Working forward of this was a cinema and the lowest level of the 1,000-seat theater. On the entertainment deck was the upper level of the theater, and amidships were many of the premier shops surrounding the atrium. At the aft was the casino, art gallery, and nightclub. The panorama, vista, and penthouse decks were largely made up of a variety of different cabin types, including the two over 1,200 square foot penthouse suites. Within these decks were the library and the children's area. Up on the forward part of the resort deck was the health center, with its many varieties of activities and treatments, which included the gym, hair salon, pool, whirlpools, different types of treatment rooms, and much more. It was one of the most extensive at sea at the time. Behind this was a well-sized open pool deck for a ship of this size, completed with 2 pools, 5 whirlpools, a grill, and bar. Behind this was the Oasis Cafe and the covered Oasis Pool, which featured a retractable roof. On the sky deck, one could find one of the most breathtaking spaces found on this ship, the Stratosphere, a multi-story venue with floor-to-ceiling windows that allowed for 180-degree views out the front and sides of the ship. Outside was the upper level of the pool deck, featuring a jogging track and the sky bar. After this were 28 suites with extended balconies. At the rear was another open-air deck with the retractable roof over the Oasis pool. To top it all was the Sunrise deck, featuring an observation area forward and the golf simulator aft of the ship's dark blue and white funnel, which featured the Signature X. She also featured an extensive television system designed by Sony that not only allowed for passengers to watch on-demand movies, but it also allowed them to order wine for dinner in their cabins. Other special free perks that her guests could enjoy that could not be found on any other Main Street cruise line were bathrobes in every stateroom, as well as the ability to order in-room dining straight off the main dining menus. Powering all of this was 2 MAN B&W 9L 4860 and 2 MAN B&W 6L 4860 engines, which allowed for a combined electrical output of nearly 30,000 kilowatts. They also helped to drive 2 fixed-shaft propellers. There were also several bow and stern thrusters that worked in tandem with the propellers in order to aid in maneuvering the ship in and out of port. The conclusion of Galaxy's promotional tour ended with her arrival into Port Everglades. On December 21, 1996, she departed there on her maiden voyage on a 7-night Caribbean cruise. For the next few months, she operated in tandem with Century on the 7-night run. Soon, the third sister would join them. By spring 1997, largely thanks to Century and Galaxy, Celebrity's well-established but very fresh following had reached new heights, and it was becoming even more clear that they were going to be a force to be reckoned with not that far down the road. They were not even around 10 years prior, and they were already getting the attention of well-established mainstream cruise lines. TUI especially saw the potential in what Celebrity was offering, and they wanted to see if they could acquire it for their own. First to approach was Royal Caribbean Cruise Line. They offered Chandris $500 million for the brand and to assume about $800 million of their debt in order to acquire their ships in operation. Things seemed to be set until, at the last minute, their main rivals, Carnival Cruise Line, offered more for the brand. Their main reason for buying them, other than the fact that they were a proven premium line, was to acquire the 2 contracts they held for priority docking in the Bermuda ports. Royal Caribbean then upped their offer to $515 million to counter, to which Carnival then offered $525 million. Things were getting a little heated, and the Chandris executives felt that the Royal Caribbean route was the better option. They agreed to hand over Celebrity for $245 million, as well as $7.4 million in stocks, and a total debt assumption of the company. Rather than acquiring the ships, rebranding them as their own, and essentially performing a hostile takeover, which was a common occurrence in the cruise industry at the time, Royal Caribbean, knowing what Celebrity had already achieved, agreed to let them operate as a sister company, which would allow them to be flooded with so much more cash and resources than they could ever have dreamed of. This would allow them to expand in new ways that would not have been possible previously. Not long after the acquisition, Mercury, the final member of the Century class, entered service. This made her the final independent new build for Celebrity, as she was not far from completion when the deal had been made. Following her inaugural winter season in the Caribbean, Galaxy was relocated to run Alaska cruises out of Vancouver, British Columbia for the summer 1997 season. From there until 2000, she would repeat the same schedule. In 2001, she was replaced by the recently completed Infinity of the new Millennium class. Galaxy was then transferred to run cruises out of the Mediterranean and Baltic. While there in summer 2001, she barely grazed the seafloor as a result of poor weather. This caused damage to the portside propeller, and the cruise had to be cancelled. All 4 blades would need to be replaced, but only 2 spares were carried on board. As a result, the 2 spare blades on Mercury were flown out. She was promptly repaired and then immediately put back into service. A few years later, she was performing additional Caribbean cruises out of the port of Baltimore. By February 2008, she was renamed Celebrity Galaxy in order to be more consistent with the names of her fleet mates. However, she would not have this name for long. Galaxy may have been designed with the new century in mind, but being over 12 years old by this point, and without a major interior refit, her 90s style interior was really starting to show in a not too pleasant way. Combined with this was the fact that Celebrity was getting ready to introduce an entirely new class to their fleet, which would render the Century ships as pretty much afterthoughts. Just 2 months after her renaming, Royal Caribbean Group, the parent company of Celebrity, announced that Galaxy would be withdrawn from the Celebrity fleet in early 2009 and be transferred to TUI Cruises, a newly formed company that was a joint venture between Royal Caribbean Group and TUI aimed at the German market. She was seen as the first step in introducing a new premium all-inclusive concept for the line. After completing her winter 2009 season, she officially lowered the Celebrity house flag for the last time and headed for the Lloyd Werft shipyard in Bremerhaven to receive a €50 million refit. On the 15th of May 2009, she was renamed Mein Schiff and officially entered service as TUI's first ship a few weeks later for a cruise into the Baltic. Not long afterward, her name was updated to Mein Schiff 1 as TUI's fleet saw another addition in 2011, Mein Schiff 2. She was actually her sister, the now former Mercury. She continued to cruise with her sister around the Baltic and Mediterranean for the next 4 years. By 2015, TUI was starting to add its own new builds, and they decided that in order to modernize their fleet, both Mein Schiff 1 and 2 would be transferred to another branch of their company in coming years, then known as Thomson Cruises, which operated out of the UK. Another announcement came in 2017 that she would be renamed TUI Explorer. By now, Thomson Cruises was known by another name, Marella Cruises, and when Mein Schiff 1 was officially transferred over in May 2018, she was actually renamed Marella Explorer. Soon she was joined with her other sister, Century, whom was the last to leave the Celebrity fleet, and was renamed Marella Explorer 2. In 2023, the Century trio was once again reunited under the same banner when Mercury entered the Marella fleet as Marella Voyager. As of the making of this video, Marella Explorer is continuing to sail for Marella Cruises within the Mediterranean. Her upcoming itineraries mainly include 7-night Canary Island cruises out of the ports of Tenerife and Gran Canaria. When looking over the grand spectrum of the entire cruise industry timeline, Galaxy is not a ship that immediately catches the eye, as she was not an overly influential or record-breaking vessel. However, that does not necessarily mean that she was not special. Yes, she was a very modest ship, especially by today's standards, but she was a very special ship for her owners when first launched. She and her sisters were the culmination of a company that had brought itself from nothing into an upscale cruise line that had the potential of becoming mainstream not that much later. All of this happened within a decade. Because of how much of a following they were receiving, largely thanks to the service provided as well as the design of the Century and Horizon class members, it caught the attention of two of the biggest names in the cruise industry. After the merging with Royal Caribbean, they were able to grow in ways that had not been previously available. This allowed them to, in a very short amount of time, build a fleet of even better and vastly larger ships. Not only that, but each class that came out seems to have positively influenced not only some of their partners' future ships, but also the competition at large. This fact is more obvious than ever when looking at the most recent additions to the fleet, the Edge class. All of the successes have come since the merger, whether it be Edge, Beyond, Solstice, or even Millennium, can all be traced back to those early pioneers, like Galaxy, which helped carry their owners from a simple branch off of a line that only owned second-hand and old ocean liners, to one that was pushing the boundaries as a premier cruise line with affordable, top-of-the-line, luxurious, but comfortable cruise ships.